Out, I'm here on the beach, and it's rather cold, but the dog's enjoying it. Oh dear. So I guess, like, you know, one of the things that I find very difficult to understand in AA these days is this business around alcohol being a problem, you know. Now, I'm not saying it's not a problem whilst you're drinking it, but I just want to make it clear that, you know, and don't get me wrong, you know, it took me a while to understand this, but alcohol was not a problem for me. It was my solution to the way that I felt inside. Nothing to do with the outside world particularly. You know, alcoholism's not causal. If it was, then why would there be people in AA groups who, some people have had very abusive childhoods, others have had great childhoods, you know. There was one guy on the street and the next guy's a doctor, you know. Alcoholism's not causal, and I drank whether it was good, bad, indifferent, happy, sad, whether she stayed, whether she left, you know, all the stuff. You know, you could say I drank because of alcoholic, but of course I didn't know what that meant at the time. But for sure, you know, alcohol was my solution, and I'm glad, you know, that I had alcohol all those years, because if I hadn't have had it, I'd probably have killed myself, you know, because I just couldn't cope with life, you know. It was, you know, barely in existence. And the only thing I can say is, you know, you can say, well, where does all that come from? Well, it comes from the disease of alcoholism, as very, very powerfully described in the big book, you know, textbook. It's all there in black and white, you know. But of course, as the popular saying, you know, if you want to hide something from an alcoholic, then write it in the big book, you know. And for sure, I stayed like that for about 4 years, with the subsequent results, which was, you know, after a period of time, I'd get the idea I'd been separated from alcohol, and I'd get the idea that I could pull it off again, you know, which of course, you know, I'd figure something like, we'll do better this time, you know, I'm not going to do this, I'm not going to do that, and of course I'd put a drink in, and that would guarantee, because of the allergy, that I was going to get drunk again, every single time, you know. Allergy comes from a dysfunctional liver and pancreas. Don't produce the enzymes in sufficient quality or quantity. There's various things that happen that I'm not going to go into on a video because I don't think this phone will hold it. It's not long enough. During the chemical decomposition of ethanol, which are different in a person who suffers from alcoholism as opposed to the, you know, normal temperate drinker. Very different things happen for me when I drink as opposed to a normal drinker. You know, they stop the drinking when they start to get a sense of being out of control. When I drank, I got a sense of being in control. You know, and of course once the allergy was off, there was no ceiling on it, and I would drink until the spree ran itself out. And of course, you know, even coming out of that with all the shame and the guilt that came along with that, I never did quite get enough alcohol. You know, I drank enough, like old Joe McClane, he says, I drank enough to damn near kill me, but I never did quite get enough, you know. So, you know, it's kind of like we get separated from alcohol, and it's as simple as this. Step one, you're powerless over alcohol because of the physical allergy and because of a mental obsession, which I had in spades, you know. Not thinking about drinking all the time. Well, some people maybe, but for me, it was thinking I could take a drink and get anything good out of it. And I picked up a drink at 17, and it was like that for me right from the beginning. And I didn't even get any moments of clarity until I was nearly 39. So that obsession was a long, 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 long thing, and continued for 4 years in AA. With the resultant, you know, keep coming back meant to me, you know, let's keep going back out again. because the obsession was so powerful that it didn't matter how many horrible stories that I heard at AA. You know, I'd lost the power to choose. You know, I just could not. I'd lost all power, choice and control. You know, it just didn't figure to me. Yeah, there was a lot of people in those groups staying sober, but they didn't seem to be doing anything, and I couldn't understand that. Of course, I learnt later that I was going to have to, there were certain things I was going to have to hear if I was going to survive this illness. And unfortunately, I found a man that knew what he was talking about, and we went forward and did the steps, you know. There's only one way to survive alcoholism that we're currently aware of, and that is by following the instructions in the Big Book, precisely as they appear in there. So there's somebody coming up the beach here. But, and that's the only thing we've got so far, you know. Well, really, Oliver. I mean, for some 75 years before the Big Book, the Salvation Army were turning out recovered alcoholics to some degree. But so far, the only thing that we've got against alcoholism is the Big Book. Who knows, that might change in the future. It hasn't done so far. 73 years almost now, and nothing works as perfectly as what's in that book. And, you know, for myself, I'm a clear example of that. I'm a chronic alcoholic. I get up in the morning now. I don't feel anything around alcohol. It's been neutralised. Doesn't mean we don't have problems in our lives, you know, but certainly for sure I can go through those problems now with a bit of grace and dignity and come out the other side having learned. We have a program that helps us to do that. Oliver! Come here! Come on! Oliver! Come on! The dog won't listen. The dog walks on water. What did Mark say? That damn dog walking on water. But it's a good life, you know. And once I'd learned what this allergy was and the obsession, and my sponsor saying, you know, what is it going to be? An alcoholic death or life on a different basis? And step 2 is simply the hope that this thing, I'm sat there with the guy there and then, ready to go. I must have some hope that this thing's going to work for me. And when I said that I did, that was all we needed, and went forward, made a step 3 prayer, and then started to write a shit list, basically, and have a look at the grosser defects that I had going on in my life at that point, current stuff, not stuff from way back when that no longer mattered to me anymore, current stuff, you know. We don't deal with sin in AA, we deal with defects, you know. When we go out and we fix them up, clean it up, you know, clean up your mess. But, you know, and I've never looked back. I've had moments, you know, where things have been difficult, you know. But I can honestly say, you know, that what's happened inside of me has been nothing short of a complete change. And now all that I've done is been willing to shut up and follow directions as laid out in the Big Book that's been in print since 1939. And that's it, you know. And I think if a few more people inside of AA stop bouncing around with their opinions, their ideas, and my day, my way, and how it's going to be, we might have a much higher success rate in AA than what we have currently, which is tragic, you know. People rarely come in and stay in. And the reason for that is because they're not hearing the solution anymore. They're hearing the problem, and people living in the problem for years and years and years. And for a real alcoholic, that's not going to happen, you know. So that's it really at the moment. I might add to this a bit later on, but there's people around here. Catch you in a bit.